This is the Hario V60, and today I'm going to share with you a basic pour-over method that will make consistent, great coffee every time. Now before we get into the video, I do want to take a second to thank my friends over at 416 Coffee Co. Carmine sent me over the Zambia roast. It has notes of cinnamon, cacao, and finishes off with a creamy texture. Guys, I will leave a link below to 416 Coffee Co. Check out their website, their online store, and check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So once again, thank you, Carmine and the folks over at 416 Coffee Co. Now, let's get into the video. So there's a few things that we need before we start. Obviously, coffee. I would start with beans and grind the beans fresh every time. This is how you get the freshest, best tasting coffee. Next is the V60. It is a V-shaped, cone-shaped apparatus. Now you can buy the V60 separately, or you can buy it as a kit with the decanter. That's what it looks like. Next is a kettle with hot water. Now you can use a regular kettle. I would suggest using a kettle with a gooseneck to it. This is where you get the most control of the pour over when you do actually pour the water into the V60 over the grounds. We'll need a V60 filter. And finally, this is not absolutely necessary. You can use scoops of ground coffee, but I would suggest using a scale. We're going to use the 1:16 ratio. 1 gram of coffee for 16 grams of water. Now we can get very scientific and very technical with pour over coffee. Don't panic. Again, this is a basic technique to making great pour over coffee. I have found the 1:16 ratio, 1 gram of coffee for 16 grams of water is the golden ratio, the golden cup. It is right smack dab in the middle. 1:12, 1:13, 1:14 ratio brews a much stronger, bolder, intense flavored coffee. 1:17, 1:16, 1:17, 1:18 will give you a lighter, simpler tasting, not as bold, not as intense coffee. So depending on your palate, depending on your taste, depending on how strong you want the coffee, you can brew 1:12, 1:13, 1:14 for a stronger coffee, 1:17, 1:18, even stretch it out to 1:19, but that brews a very light coffee. 1:15, 1:16 is the golden cup. It is the golden ratio that will give you the best, most flavorful, well-balanced coffee. 1:16 ratio. So another factor that comes into play is water temperature. Now most coffee professionals and experienced baristas will tell you 195 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit is sort of that sweet spot, that range of water temperature. To make it basic and simple, 200 degrees Fahrenheit, right smack dab in the middle. Now, using that 1:16 ratio, it can sound a little complicated. Before I even have a cup of coffee in the morning, I have to sit there and I have to calculate ratios of 1:16, 1:16, depending on how much coffee do I want. 1 cup, 2 cups, 5 cups, and all this before I even have my morning coffee. A simple, basic measurement technique is this. 30 grams of coffee, 500 grams of water, that'll give you 2 well-balanced cups of coffee. So let's make some pour over. So let's add in our coffee. Scale is set to 0. Add our measuring device. Tear the scale back to 0. Add in our beans. And we're at 30 grams of coffee. Measure out our water at 500 grams. Next we're going to grind our beans, and we want it the size of somewhere in between medium to fine, which is rock salt to medium, table salt to fine, and somewhere in between, a medium fine grind. Okay, so next let's prepare the filter. We want to fold the filter at the seam, add it to the V60. Next we'll prepare the filter. With the filter in the V60, you want to wet the filter, run it on the outside. This gets rid of that papery taste. Once that is drained, we'll discard the water. So with the water drained, we'll be adding in our coffee grinds and give it a shake just to flatten the bed. So here's where the V60 brewing method becomes fun. Take a chopstick and make a small little indent, a small circle in the bed of the coffee. With your gooseneck kettle, you want to pour into the middle of the coffee bed, and in a circular motion, you want to wet the entire bed of the coffee. Give it 30 seconds to bloom. This will release the CO2 and the gases from the coffee itself. So let's do that now. And in circular motion, working your way inside out. All of the coffee is wet. The gases are now, you can see it bubbling. The gases are coming out from the coffee grounds. The CO2 is releasing. Give that about 30 seconds to bloom. You can start to smell the aroma and the flavors of the coffee. So 20 to 30 seconds has gone by. This is now the second pour. Again, starting from the middle and working our way to the outer walls. Try not to wet the filter because, again, you don't want water running down and giving it that paper taste. So now give that about a minute to a minute and 20 seconds to fully extract and the water to run through the grounds. And now our final pour, start from the outside and work your way in circular motions. The entire bed of the coffee is wet. And again, with your chopstick, give it a little stir just to make sure that all the grounds are wet, all the coffee is being extracted. That will give you a well-balanced, well-flavored coffee. As a final step, once all the water is drained from the V60, remove it from the decanter. Smells amazing. Give it a swirl, mix in all those layers and flavors of coffee. We're now ready to drink, pour over. That is great coffee. I find that 1:16 ratio gives me that golden cup, that golden ratio, well balanced, not overbearing, not too bold, not too light. It's not bitter. Guys, that is my V60 pour over coffee method. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Thanks to my friends over at 416 Coffee once again for sending over some coffee. Guys, I hope you liked this video. If you found it useful and helpful, smash that like button, hit the notification bell for future videos, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you in the next video.